Welcome into the Coach Quad Sanders Show. Michael Westbrook along with head coach Quad Sanders. And didn't get to do an interview last week on the short week from fall break. And this is still another short week as we had a couple of days off from the regular routine of school. But Coach, we had a game last Friday night. You beat Cabot 35-17. A lot of positives out of that, especially on defense. I felt like the defense played really well in the second half. But a bit of a slow start. Cabot gets out to the 3-0 lead in the first quarter. How do you recap that big win over Cabot?
Well, obviously it's a big win, one of the final three, which we call the gauntlet. But anytime you play Cabot, it should be a good game. It's going to be a good game, no matter what their record is. And then I think that's exactly what it was, because they're going to be a well-coached team. They're just young in some spots and inexperienced in some important places. But we'll definitely take the win however we can get it. I think offense just started off a little bit slow, trying to figure out what they were going to do. Once they got rolling, they got rolling. And we started a lot of sophomores on defense that game, and they showed up and played pretty well.
Let's go back to offense for a second. Big touchdown plays. I mean, 3 of those plays were 40, 50-plus yards, especially that big first touchdown to Sean Rycraw. You can't get any more open than that. I mean, the play design worked perfectly. Then you got James Martin on the big touchdown runs. I mean, it showed that some explosiveness that we've not maybe seen a whole lot of this year from Bryant, but also you've been in situations where you've been able to play a lot of backups. And to me, it was a dominating performance once the offense did get going to show that we are still Bryant and we can make some big plays.
You know, on the outside looking in, you kind of look at the game and say, well, offense is not doing much. And it's easy to say that, but they were averaging 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
You know, it was only a matter of time before those runs finally popped, and that's what happened. But a defense like that and a coaching staff like that, their goal is to minimize big plays. So whenever you can get big plays, it's always a plus, and it's good to see them go for the end zone.
Now, defense-wise, Cabot's not afraid to throw the ball. Now, they've been like that before, but some of it was they got down a little bit. 3 interceptions. Harold Lynch had a couple of big interceptions, and I thought that those guys played well. And when you're winning the turnover battle like that, you're going to be in pretty good shape. You
got to win a turnover battle if you're going to win a big game. If not, it better be a tie. And I think we finally capitalized on some opportunities that we've been getting, I'm going to say, all season. And even in the game early, we had some opportunities to pick the ball off, and we just didn't make the most of it. And then finally we started getting them. And once you get one, it's contagious.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I want to talk about Eli Hill in a second, but I guess he'll be a part of this answer, actually. The last 9 minutes of that game was probably the best 9 minutes of football Bryant has played this year. I keep the play-by-play sheet as I'm going, and it was basically sack, interception, touchdown, some combination of that with you guys doing the sacking and the interceptions and then getting the touchdowns too. So did you notice that during the course of the game? Did you feel like it was a major turning point, that it was maybe some of the best football y'all played?
Well, once the defense can start making plays and getting turnovers, it's a big momentum change, and the offense is going to feed off that, and vice versa as well. When they start making big plays, defense is going to feed off that. But I think if you want to be a great team, that's something you have to learn how to do on a consistent basis. You know, you got to learn how to play on the same page all the time. Big plays on defense, then big plays on offense. But most of all, just being consistent.
Yeah. Well, it was really, to me, again, I think as we go through the year, now we're starting to see what Bryant's all about. And to me, it showed that you guys can be the lockdown team in the fourth quarter and make the plays when you need to.
Yeah, you know, we can be that team in the fourth quarter, but we need to be that team in the first quarter as well. You know, and that, because it's gonna come a time where the fourth quarter ain't gonna go the way you want it to go, but you want to have done enough work in the early quarters to kind of get you over the hump, you know, and be able to come back and say the last two or 3 minutes of the game and bounce back. But yeah, we definitely got to get rolling earlier in the game as a complete unit. There's always one or the other right now, and that's growing pains. But I mean, we're heading into week 9 now, so it's about time for the growing pains to stop.
So how do you grade the performance of Eli Hill? I thought he had a good game.
You know, that's a guy who can probably get defensive player of the game every week, and that's just how he plays. That's not what he plays for. He just plays because he loved the game. And that's what we expect from him. So his expectations are high for himself, and he goes out and shows he doesn't want to disappoint, and that's what's big about him. That's what's great about him, and he's a great player. And you know what? Some of the guys around him are the same. His confidence is getting there a little bit farther than everybody else's, and everybody else's confidence has got to continue to grow as well, because we got other guys on that defense just as capable of making plays as he is. And I think that's kind of what you got a chance to see in the fourth quarter right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different guys making a lot of different plays. You know, it just wasn't all Eli. He has probably stood out a little bit more because they're a little bit harder, but a lot of guys got a chance to make plays, and that's what we need for the rest of the year.
Well, I think one of those guys I think we should mention is Jaden Welch. I mean, he not only tips the ball up in the air, comes down with that interception. That was a remarkable play, and I think he's done well the last few weeks. It's a name we've started to call some.
And we need to continue to call it because we're going to lean on them a little bit down the stretch. We're getting into some teams that can really run and pass, and then when you get in the playoffs, of course, teams are going to be multiple. So we're going to need those guys, and the secondary guys and the defensive line guys, they got to play really well together to go for the ultimate goal.
So it's North Little Rock, as you said. This is that gauntlet. We're right in the middle of it. Cabot, North Little Rock, then Conway next week. Everybody can say, well, North Little Rock is down this year and those things, but the bottom line is they're still the Charging Wildcats. They're still a team that knows how to win, and I feel like that's probably what you're preaching to the team this week.
When you got a good coaching staff and you got athletes that are hungry to win, there's no such thing as down.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to compare us to the NFL, but if you look from week to week, you don't know who's going to win those games. And I think that's kind of what 7A is when you talk about the historical good programs. You know, they're always going to have great athletes, and they do. They have some really good athletes, and they've been struggling to find themselves this year. But if you look at, they got flashes of being great, and you don't want to be the team to come in and let them be great against you. And I think that's what our guys got to realize too. They still have great athletes and a great coaching staff, so they'll be well prepared.
Coach, I can't believe it. This is the last home game of the year, and it's senior night, and we're already at this point where we're about to turn the calendar over to November. So how are you feeling at this point? I know it's a question I've asked you throughout the year, and you don't want the focus on you, but I like to ask from time to time. How are you feeling about this season?
Man, the season's not over, so it's hard to feel a certain kind of way. It's hard to believe that it's week 9 already, though. I can tell you that. Somebody asked me the record, and I couldn't even tell them the record. I didn't realize we played that many games.
Right.
You just go 1 week at a time, and then you forget the previous week and start on the next week so often, and it's rolling by. But it's kind of hard to tell how I feel about the season thus far. It's still a long season ahead.
Yep. Well, I like that answer. We got a ways to go then, don't we, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Coach Sanders, and we've got more to come on the pregame coverage. So we're leading up to Bryant and North Little Rock tonight. Thanks for watching.